The Egyptian military's ouster of President Mohammed Morsi on July 3rd further emboldened the United Arab Emirates and other Gulf states to step up arrests of suspected Brotherhood supporters whom they see as a threat to the Gulf's tightly run fraternity of monarchs, sheiks, and emirs. The crackdowns in the region began more than a year before the Muslim Brotherhood's political collapse in Egypt, but now they take on wider regional implications following the campaign of arrests by Cairo's new military-protected leadership against the Brotherhood. And in turn, several Gulf countries have stepped up as critical sources of cash for Egypt's new military-backed leadership as it cracks down on Morsi's Brotherhood. The UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait have promised the Egyptian interim government $12 billion in aid. Several thousand Brotherhood members have been arrested in Egypt since Morsi's fall. In Cairo, Sarah Sambal explained how UAE authorities in December blocked her father from leaving the country. Mohammed Ali Sambal, a Muslim Brotherhood supporter, was originally from Egypt but had worked in Dubai for decades as a doctor. After he returned to his Dubai home, authorities came to his house and arrested him.
A force of maybe 10 people came and they took him. We stayed for about 2 months with no idea about him, where he was, who exactly are those people. We called the police. They told us that they have no idea and maybe it's a national security thing.
Sarah and her family are still waiting to find out what has happened to him. Nicholas McGeehan, a Gulf researcher with Human Rights Watch, confirmed that people from outside the country, some with links to the Muslim Brotherhood, are being detained in the UAE.
We now have a situation where various Egyptian people, some with associations with the Muslim Brotherhood, some not, now appear to be in these secret detention facilities and will themselves face the same sort of trial, probably an unfair trial as the first one was, in the coming months.
The Gulf's rulers have long considered the Brotherhood as a danger, with one government-backed organization going as far as to call them a terrorist organization. Salim Humayed, director of the Al-Mizma Studies and Research Center, which Humayed said was created to give voice to official positions, described the Brotherhood as terrorist, seeking to bring down the UAE's cosmopolitan society.
This is the end of their story, and then this story will be ended. No more Muslim Brotherhoods, because here in the UAE we consider the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist group.
UAE officials declined to comment directly about the Muslim Brotherhood arrests, but have used editorials and state-backed groups to make their case. In Saudi Arabia, for example, the Brotherhood's version of political Islam is seen as a challenge to the country's monarchy backed by the strict Wahhabi interpretation of Islam. The group is also seen as a part of the wave of Arab Spring upheavals, which so far Gulf rulers have clamped down, though not without censorship and blocking of social media and other tools of budding political opposition. Now, Gulf officials have become fearful of anything that could serve as potential platforms for the Brotherhood. In rhetoric, at least, the group has begun to replace Iran as the most worrisome threat in the eye of many officials. The exception is Qatar, which has cultivated the Brotherhood region-wide and strongly backed Morsi. In July, Dubai's police chief, Lieutenant General Dahi Khalfan Tamim, warned of an international plot by the Brotherhood to undermine Gulf leaders and expropriate the region's huge riches. Last week, he posted a Twitter message directed at the Brotherhood and its backers. Some of the accusations against people have been severe, seeking to topple the UAE's ruling families. In early July, 69 people, including a cousin of one of the UAE's ruling sheiks, received prison sentences of up to 15 years after being convicted of links to an Islamist group, Al-Islah, suspected of ideological ties to the Brotherhood. Some of those jailed launched a hunger strike more than a month ago, alleging abuses during their incarceration. The UAE also says it's planning a high-profile trial against 30 Egyptian and Emirati suspects for alleged coup plots linked to the Brotherhood. Last month, a Dubai-based Egyptian journalist, Anas Fouada, claimed he was held in a secret UAE prison for a month on suspicion of ties to the Brotherhood. Fouada was deported and now lives in Qatar. Pro-government newspapers in Saudi Arabia often feature statements by King Abdullah equating protests by Brotherhood supporters in Egypt against that country's new leadership as sedition. Last month, a Kuwaiti cleric was dismissed from a Saudi-owned TV channel for Brotherhood links. In Kuwait, where Brotherhood-affiliated groups have some political space, a lawmaker in January urged officials to be on the alert for Brotherhood sleeper cells opposing the U.S.-backed emir. This is Armando Cordoba for Root All English.